to the channel, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. So in the last video you might have seen me install a MESHTASTIC antenna on this shed behind, which is about 7 kilometers away from my home station. Now it has been running quite well on the USB power bank that I was using, but what I want to do is I want to actually try and run this off of solar, or at least use like a little solar panel like this, just to kind of offset how often this thing needs charging. So you can see here the node's been running probably, I don't know, over a day now, and it's on 56%. So it's coming to the point now we are going to have to think about charging this power bank, otherwise this is just going to die and go offline. So what I've got here is a small little solar panel. I think it's about a 2-watt panel, something like that. Not very much, but this is something that I just had knocking around, and this was off of a water feature pump. So this is like a 6-volt panel, nice and compact, ideal for charging, you know, 1-cell battery, which is obviously what these devices run on. So in this little project box here is the solar charge controller, and I've also got a 1-cell battery in here of about 5 amp hours, which I'll show you if we take this lid off. So we can see in here, this board is basically a LiPo charger. So it's a USB DC solar LiPo charger. It's from ADAFRUIT. So they make some really good stuff, and basically what it allows you to do is charge a battery multiple ways. You can charge it via solar, or you can charge it via USB. So you can see there's a USB-C port on there. So basically power comes in from the solar panel and the USB, and then we've got a 5000 milliamp hour 21700 battery which is connected to that input down there, and then there's basically a load out socket on the top right there which then goes out, and that's just connected to this lead, which then goes to basically the plug that goes in the back of a HELTEC node. So pretty simple setup, guys. Now the thing is with this, I've been doing solar quite a long time. I know this is not going to power this node indefinitely. There's no way this is going to carry it, especially at the moment. It's pretty much dark in the UK throughout the whole day at the moment. So you get the odd days with sunshine. But what I'm hoping this will do is just prolong the amount of time this can run for between charges. So basically my sister, she can just, you know, go and charge the power bank and then not have to worry about swapping over power banks, because it will flick over to the other battery. So I've tested the load sharing on this little board, and it's actually really clever. So it actually manages the power going out to the node or whatever load you've got connected, and it also manages the charge going into the battery as well. So this seems like a really good way to do it. Anyway, I'm going to get the solar panel installed in the shed, and then we can sort of see how it works. So I've already charged this battery using USB, and it's, you know, reached the voltage it should do. It's got to about 4.2 volts, and then I've actually got a little hole in here so I can see the LEDs, you know, the LED status of those. So we'll just stick that back on, and with the solar panel connected, I'm using these little YAGI blocks. They're so good, just really easy to make a connection, especially if you've got to thread wires through holes and stuff like that. And you can see in here we're getting a flashing LED. Now that kind of means the faster it flashes, the more charge that's going in. You can see there's not a lot of sunlight here at the moment, so you know you're not going to really be getting much of a charge going into that. So if we look on the meter here, you can see we're getting about 6.3 volts on here. Obviously I've got the polarity the wrong way around, but yeah, 6.3 volts, so that's showing about right for the voltage. So there we go, quick and easy to install. It's up there. Oh, it's not very straight. Anyway, okay, you can see how dark it is. I've had to put the light on the camera. But this is the system basically so far. So let's just unplug that a minute just to show you. But basically, so the solar's coming in over here on the white wire, and it is going into the solar charger. You can see there's a red light in there. So if you turn this off, you can see there's a red light there, which basically means that it's getting power from the solar panel. Now, at the moment, the HELTEC is running off of the battery that's inside here, so you can see, but there's not really any charge coming in from the solar panel, because can you see that flickering light there? See that flickering green light there? That's sort of basically saying that there's not much power coming in. It's not able to convert much power coming in via solar, which you'd expect because it's pretty dark out there. So anyway, that's going to run for as long as it's going to run, and obviously I'll be able to monitor the voltage remotely, because every device will send its battery voltage back to your node list. So from remotely I'll be able to see the voltage deplete on this, and then obviously I can let her know when to swap the battery over. So the other way you can charge this is actually by USB. So you can see I've got the USB power bank here, and you can actually just plug that in to there, and that will come alive. Now when you go over here, you can see, let's turn that off again, you can see there's a green light in there, which obviously means that is charging. So you can kind of take that out and it goes back to solar, or it can be charged by USB. So you've got multiple ways of charging this little system and keeping it alive. So you've got battery backup in there, which is going to get topped up by the solar. So you could just take this away, charge it at your leisure, and then come back, plug it in with absolutely no interruption to the node at all. So I think if this works, it'll be a really good solution. Just making sure that the node is actually working, no problem at all. It seems to have picked up a signal from my home station there, so that's no problem. Because at first I was wondering whether you might get some RF noise, because some solar chargers like MPPT chargers, which track the power coming in, it's a clever way of doing it, basically like an algorithm that maximizes the amount of power that you get from a solar panel. They can cause a lot of RF noise. I've seen it before on different chargers. Trying to run radio gear off of these things can be a bit of a pain, but this is not an MPPT. It's a kind of version of that, this particular charge controller, and I'm hoping because of that it's not going to be creating RF noise or anything like that. We'll have to test this anyway and see if it's performing exactly the same as it was directly off that power bank. Even these power banks can create some noise as well. Guys, so it's the next day now. You can see the sun's out, so let's have a look at the node and see if it's actually charging. I mean, it might not be out where that node is mounted, we never know. So yeah, if we look at this one here, obviously the USB battery pack is now depleted, but we're still, everything's shuffling around a bit. We're actually on 4.15, so the panel is actually keeping that topped up now, 4.15 volts. Just before the sun came out, it was actually a bit lower. It had gone down to sort of 3.9 or something like that. So basically the USB battery is depleted. That's gone down to 0. So my sister's going to charge that. And then we're running off the internal battery now. So the 5 amp hour battery that's inside the box. And that is obviously being topped up by solar. You can see there's loads of activity going on here. So this is my other device I've got here. So you can see it's like 12:05, sort of midday at the moment. 4.15. So what we'll do is we'll check this at the end of the day and see where it's at. So it's a bit later on in the afternoon now, 5 o'clock. The sun's gone down. Obviously in the UK it goes down pretty early, 4 o'clock, half four, something like that. And it hasn't been a particularly sunny day, but we're still on 3.86 volts here. So I reckon the panel's probably slowed down the discharge a little bit there. So, as we can see, pretty successful. It's not going to run the node continuously on that panel. I said that in the beginning. I knew that it wasn't going to be able to. The idea was obviously just offsetting with a bit of solar so that, it would slow down the time between having to charge or replace those power banks. The other thing to realise about this is we're using the HELTEC nodes, which are based on ESP32. They do suck quite a bit of juice. They're not very efficient at all. They run in at about 100 milliamps continuously and around 240 under transmit. So it's quite a lot of power. They're taking quite a lot of power. If you want a more energy efficient node, then you need to use either like a Raspberry Pi Pico. They're pretty good. They're like a third of the energy usage of the ESP32s. The rack stuff's good as well, around the same. And basically, anything that isn't an ESP32 is going to get you a lot more runtime. But in reality, though, on a small kind of discrete solar panel like this one, like a 2-watt one that's just going to tuck nicely in somewhere, is still not enough. Whatever node you use, it's just not going to be enough with the sunlight that we get in the UK. You could run this off of solar like indefinitely, but you'd need a huge panel. You'd need like a 25, at least, I would say probably at least a 25 watt to 50 watt panel, 100 watt to be safe, to cover you in the case it's really, really dark. So you're going to need a pretty substantial system just to get that energy in. If you're going to do that, you might as well just do a proper system on the shed to give you mains power in there and just kind of tap off a little bit of that for the node. It's not worth putting a full system in the shed just for a node. You might as well just go full scale solar on the shed. So you can see, while solar is cool, you're not going to do it with a small panel. It's just not really viable, not at this stage. What the way panels are, they just don't generate enough energy in a short space of time. Well, in the UK at least. The other interesting thing about this little solar circuit from ADAFRUIT is it's basically using the highest voltage as an input. So if the solar panel has just got full sun on it and you're getting 6 volts from that, you're going to get your node powered from that solar panel. It's any surplus is going to go into the battery, but effectively that little circuit is just going to choose which of the inputs is the highest voltage and just use that. But so far it's been working. I mean, it's about a week later now. I'm filming this a bit later. And it's been up and running absolutely fine. Yes, we've had to switch over power banks quite a few times, and there's always going to be those annoying times where you've got to go down to the shed and change over the power bank and it's raining and windy and all sorts of other things. But as I say, unless we go full scale solar on that shed, you're not going to be able to run it. And you might as well just run mains down there, to be honest, and then just use that power. But it's a good little experiment, and it shows that it is possible. So this is a good place to end it. More experiments to come. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's always interesting playing around with all this stuff. Join our Discord. There's loads of activity on there. Shout out to you guys on there. It's been absolutely brilliant being a part of that, and chatting pretty much 24/7 on there about MESHTASTIC. So yeah, join that if you're not already. Also, big thanks for 100k. The channel has now passed 100,000 subscribers, which I never thought was going to happen when I started this about 8 years ago. So it's absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much for all your support. And yeah, more videos to come in 2024. Catch you next time.